It's exactly 3 p.m. here in Cairo. Time for the news. I'm Shina and I'm joined by my colleague Mahisti Rabia. Good afternoon, Mahisti.
Good afternoon to you, Shireen. Good afternoon to all our dear viewers. And let's start our news bulletin with a look at the headlines.
President Fattah al-Sisi sent a cable of congratulations to Pope Tawadros, the second Pope of Alexandria and the Patriarch of St. Mark Cathedral. On the occasion of Christmas, the President hailed the deep-rooted national unity Egypt enjoys over its history, asserting that Egypt's sons and daughters who look forward to a brighter future are aware of the importance of strong coherence and resilience of the Egyptian society. The head of state also described national unity as a protective shield for the great Egyptian people and for the preservation of their resources. The President also sent a greeting cable for Egyptian Copts abroad, expressing best of wishes for them and prosperity for Egypt.
Pope Tawadros II, Pope of Alexandria and the Patriarch of St. Mark Cathedrals had Christmas Mass tonight at the Nativity Cathedral in the new administrative capital with the attendance of the state top officials, ministers, Azhar representatives, governors, diplomats, MPs, state senates, public figures and media men.
And Pope Tawadros II on Sunday received several visits by senior state officials to greet him on the occasion of Christmas. Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli paid a visit to the Pope at Abbasiyya Cathedral, accompanied by the Central Bank of Egypt's Governor Hassan Abdullah, also Minister of Defense General Magid Saqra, accompanied by Chief of Staff Lieutenant General Ahmed Khalifa, and Army top commanders carried out a similar visit to greet the Pope at the cathedral headquarters. Head of Higher Media Council Khalid Abdelaziz greeted Pope Tawadros on Christmas and all Egyptian Copts. Head of National Media Authority Ahmed Al-Misilmani also greeted Pope marking Christmas.
As a part of a visit to Muscat, Foreign Minister Badr Abdel-Aati on Monday stressed the historic and strategic relations between Egypt and the Sultanate of Oman. Meeting with Omani Deputy Prime Minister Fahd bin Mahmoud Al Said. The top diplomat also conveyed regards of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to Sultan Haytham bin Tariq, as he expressed Egypt's appreciation to Oman's positive role on regional and international levels. The Foreign Minister is paying an official visit to Oman to discuss means of enhancing bilateral relations between the two countries and to discuss leading issues of interest, notably the Palestinian cause. The meeting tackled Egyptian efforts to contain escalations in the region, with Minister Abdel-Aati asserting Egypt's willingness to hold consultations with Oman to maintain regional security and stability.
And the Foreign Minister Badr Abdel-Aati also met with Omani counterpart Badr al-Busaidi and reviewed means to enhance bilateral ties, as well as preparations for the upcoming 26th round of the two countries' joint committee due to take place at the first headquarters of this year. Separately, Foreign Minister Badr Abdel-Aati stressed the importance of achieving integration between Egypt's Vision 2030 and Oman's Sultanate's Vision of 2040 as part of boosting economic cooperation between the two countries, especially in the fields of investment, doubling trade exchange and achieving bilateral integration in the sectors of renewable energy. This came during talks that Abdel-Aati held in the outset of his visit to Muscat with Minister of Trade and Industry and Promotion of Investment Qais Al-Yusuf. The Foreign Minister is due to participate in Egyptian-Omani Business Forum and to meet with a number of senior officials and Egyptian community in Oman.
The regional front is shooting at a bus carrying Israeli settlers in the occupied West Bank killed at least 3 and wounded 7 others on Monday. The shooting occurred near Kadimim settlement in the north of the West Bank, a day after 2 Palestinians, including a 17-year-old boy, were killed by Israeli forces in Jenin and Nablus, also in the northwest bank. The occupation army said it was looking for the shooters who fled, imposing a cordon around all Palestinian villages in the area. Palestinians have carried out shootings against Israeli occupation forces and settlers in the West Bank in retaliation for the ongoing Israeli war of aggression, mainly in the Gaza Strip, that killed tens of thousands of Palestinians. At least 835 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli fire in the West Bank since the start of the war in Gaza.
In Gaza Strip, the health ministry said on Monday that 49 people were killed in the Palestinian territory in the past 24 hours, taking the overall death toll of the war to 44,850.
The U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken voiced hope on Monday that a ceasefire deal in Gaza would come together and the hostages brought out in the next 2 weeks. Blinken told reporters on a visit to Seoul that the deal will possibly come after President Joe Biden leaves office in 2 weeks. But any deal will be on the basis of the plan that Biden put forward and that virtually the entire world supports. Blinken said there had been an intensified engagement by the Palestinian group Hamas on reaching a deal, but that it was not yet complete.
A Hamas official said the group was ready to free 34 Israeli prisoners held in Gaza in the first phase of a potential deal with Israel in order to end its war in Palestinian enclave. The report comes amid fresh efforts by mediators Qatar, Egypt, and the United States to strike a deal just days before Donald Trump takes office as president of the United States. The Hamas official requesting anonymity as he was not authorized to discuss ongoing indirect negotiations in Qatar with the media said initial swap would include all women, children, elderly people and sick captives still held in Gaza. The office of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Hamas had yet to provide a list of hostages for potential release under an agreement, adding that Hamas needed time to determine their conditions.
Syria's new foreign minister Assad al-Shabani landed in the United Arab Emirates on his first visit to the Gulf country to develop strategic partnerships and support Syria's security and economic recovery. The Syrian state news agency said that Shabani, accompanied by Defense Minister Morhaf Abu Qasra, also, the intelligence chief Anas Khattab has arrived in the United Arab Emirates to build constructive bilateral relations. Their trip to the UAE comes after they visited its Gulf neighbor Qatar on Sunday and Saudi Arabia last week, during which they urged the United States to lift its sanctions on Damascus.
Sources said that the United States is set to announce an easing of restrictions on providing humanitarian aid and other basic services such as electricity to Syria while maintaining its strict sanctions on the country. The sources said the decision by the outgoing Biden administration will send a signal of goodwill to Syria's new leadership. They added that it aims to pave the way for improving living conditions in the country while keeping U.S. sanctions in place.
And to the international front, Russia said on Monday it had made an important advance in eastern Ukraine, although Russian war bloggers said Moscow's forces were continuing to fend off a Ukrainian attack inside Russia itself. The Russian Defense Ministry said its forces had captured the town of Korakov, 32 kilometers south of Pokrovsk, a Ukrainian logistic hub towards which Russian forces have been advancing for months. The ministry said taking Korakov, which had held out for many weeks, would enable Moscow's forces to step up the pace of their advance in Ukraine's Donetsk region.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said a North Korean missiles test carried out during his visit to Seoul on Monday was a reminder of the need to deepen Washington's cooperation with South Korea and Japan to deter an emboldened Pyongyang. North Korea fired what appeared to be an intermediate-range ballistic missile which flew more than 1,100 kilometers east before falling into the sea, according to South Korea's military. Speaking a few hours later, Blinken told the news conference the launch underscored the importance of collaboration between the United States, South Korea, and Japan, including on sharing real-time missile data and holding trilateral military exercises. Blinken also warned of Pyongyang's deepening ties with Moscow.
South Korean investigators said today that they will seek an extension of warrant to arrest impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol, as visiting U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken reaffirmed confidence in the country's handling of the political turmoil. Investigators probing Yoon over his December 3rd martial law on Friday again failed to serve an arrest warrant blocked by Presidential Security Service guards who formed a human chain to prevent access to Yoon. The arrest warrant, the first for a sitting president, expires at midnight today.
And Britain was bracing for more snow, rain and flooding on Monday as severe weather disrupted road and rail travel and forced airports in northern England to temporarily close their runways, delaying dozens of flights. The Met Office had warnings in place for snow, ice and rain across much of the UK, while the Environment Agency said flooding was expected at over 150 locations due to rain and melting snow. Britain's National Rail said the flooding or heavy rain had delayed or cancelled dozens of trains. Some major roads in northern and central England were also closed due to snow or flooding. Early on Monday, Manchester Airport temporarily closed its runway due to heavy snow, following similar move by Liverpool Airport on Sunday.
Our economic news, Deputy Prime Minister for Industrial Development, Minister of Industry and Transportation, Kamil Wazir, reviewed with Côte d'Ivoire Ambassador to Egypt means to enhance joint cooperation in the fields of industry and transportation and also to increase volume of trade exchange. During the meeting, Al-Wazir briefed the African guest on President Abdel Fattah Sisi's directives to expand fields of cooperation with the African countries. Côte d'Ivoire Ambassador expressed his country's keen interest to increase cooperation with Egypt in various fields.
And the Minister of Irrigation and Water Resources, Hani Swilem, hailed the UN Food and Agriculture Organization role as a key partner in implementing mega project modernization of irrigation techniques to improve livelihoods of smallholder farmers in Upper Egypt. The remarks were made during a meeting attended by Minister Hani Swilem FAO representatives as well as representatives of the Dutch Embassy in Cairo to review joint cooperation in the water field. The meeting also discussed developments in mega joint projects, which is carried out by the Ministry of Irrigation and the FAO and financed by the Netherlands.
Egypt's bourse opened in green amid Arab investors' purchases against local and foreign investors' sell-offs. The market capital of listed companies lost nearly £2 billion, so far exceeding £2.2 trillion. The benchmark index EGX 30 rose 0.2% near the 30,230 point mark, while the equal weighted indices EGX 70 and EGX 100 climbed 0.3% and 0.2% respectively.
Well, dear viewers, that's all for the news bulletin. I'm Sheen Adel, and I was joined by my colleague Mahisti Rabia. Thank you, Mahisti.
Thank you so much, Shireen. Thank you so much, our dear viewers. That was the end of our bulletin.